Warning: the government shutdown in 2025 was only a test, and now a precursor for what's to come in 2026. Stay ready, stay informed.
All right, so check this out. So most of us can remember 30, 45, 60 days back, right? So that was the longest government shutdown that we've ever experienced. We saw SNAP benefits cut off. We saw a lot of government workers go without pay. Now, I believe that because the government was shut down that long and they saw the stock market continue to go up, they saw the Dow Jones Industrial continue to go up. See, most people thought that the entire economic system was going to shut down, right? But that's not what actually happened. You saw companies hit all-time highs. Nvidia, Microsoft, Google, all those companies had massive uptrends while the government was shut down. A lot of the folks that I work with, they were like, that's kind of counterintuitive, right? It's actually not. So think about it this way. If the companies shut down, right? Or if the companies lay off employees during a government shutdown, doesn't that actually cost them less money than more money? And so it's a whole economic lesson on supply and demand, right? And so what we're seeing, though, and the reason why I'm bringing this up is because spending has gone up tremendously on the heels of the government being shut down. Now, this is the part that's perplexing to me. So just last week during Black Friday, we saw a 6% increase year over year for the amount that people are spending on Christmas goods, right? And so that's crazy to me. Just 30 days before, a lot of people weren't eating. And then all of a sudden, everything goes back to normal and they go right back to shopping. So the reason why that's important for us to think about is because New Year anxiety and holiday spending is a real thing. And now it's time for us to have a reality check around it. So why is spending up? Well, a lot of people have what we call emotional spending. If you've been with me any amount of time, you've heard me talk about my stories, right? I call it retail therapy, right? And so we have this emotional spending because people, it's almost like doomsday spending, right? People are like, well, if the government shut down again, then what am I supposed to do anyway, right? So they go and they buy all of this stuff to make them feel good, but in reality, it's making them feel worse because they're looking at how much poorer they're becoming by buying stuff instead of investing. Now, I've always told you guys, I think investing is one of the most important pieces that you need to work into your budget on a monthly basis. But I'm gonna give you some towards the end of this podcast today to kind of right path. So let's look at some that I have. So spending is up 4.2% over 2024. So that means people are spending more, but you know what? Inflation is going up and raises are going which way? Down. Inflation right now is at about 2.5%. So what does that mean to you? If you took $100 and you put it into a checking or a savings account where you're earning less than 1%, right? In, in a year, that money will have less buying power by 2.5 to 3%. So in reality, you put $100 into your savings account. When you take it back out, it's only $98. Okay. That has less spending power. So that's what inflation does to your dollars. Now, year over year, when you look at the stock market, guess how much it does on average? About 10%. So in reality, if we look at those numbers, we're really talking about 7% because, again, we have to adjust for inflation. So that means right now, the average person is spending through the inflation. That means they're spending more money than they're actually making on their money. Another piece of data that I found, it said high income earners are now spending less on gifts. So what does that mean? That means the wealthy have figured this thing out. So instead of spending more during Christmas time, they're actually spending less. I was telling one of my guys in my group the other day, I had done this research and I was looking at Black Friday pre Monday sales. Do you realize you're only saving about 1%? And in some cases on Cyber Monday specifically, because they know most people are going to go buy, computers, and they actually raise the prices by 5% because most people aren't necessarily looking at the prices. They're like, hey, I want some new AirPods. I don't care. I'm going to get them on Cyber Monday. So they've programmed us to go spend money on certain days, no matter what. I said this at a conference one time. Think about every month. You got January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. Each one of those months has a spending cycle already embedded in it. Take, for example, February. What happens every February? Hopefully you said Valentine's Day. Now, if you're Black, you might have said African American History Month, but yeah, every February, Valentine's Day. And on the heels of Valentine's Day, you know what they start rolling out? Stuff for St. Patrick's Day. And then you got April, May. It's always something to take your money. It's always something to spend your money on. So let's think about this. In the next 60 days, depending on what happens with the government, we could potentially see a second shutdown. Now, if the government already did a shutdown and they saw the stock market did really well, the Dow Jones Industrial, people were okay, no riots broke out. Like, wouldn't it make sense for say, okay, well, let's test it and see if we can go maybe 3 months this time. Let's see if we can push this out a little bit longer. So that's what we have to be careful about. And that's why I'm telling you, use these practical tips I'm about to give you so you don't, if it happens again, you're in bad shape. All right. So the first thing I want you to do, audit your shutdown response. So what does that mean? Did you dip into your savings while the shutdown was happening? If you did, you probably want to replenish that. I'm from the camp and preach a emergency fund. You are building that emergency fund up, okay? You should have 3 to 6 months so that if you need to tap into it, you don't have to tap into your savings because technically that's not savings, that's an emergency fund. Again, watch the video where we talk about budgeting so you can see these different items that you need for your budget. Speaking of budget, crisis budget. So most have a regular budget, that's a month to month. Well, create a crisis budget. This budget is going to come in place, lose your job. If the government shut down, if you're out of work for 6 weeks. Now, most people don't have the type of accounts that will pay them if they get, heart attack, cancer, stroke. That would be important to have as well. But look at creating a crisis budget. And I can hear you. You're saying, man, I don't know if I have money to put in all these different places. The money's there. I just showed you where spending is up during the Christmas season. So the money's there. You just got to earmark it appropriately. Next, inflation is eating your raises, okay? So I want you to get your real purchasing power. That way, if you do get a raise, now that 3%, that 4%, that 5% raise, now we need to start taking that money and investing it. At the very least. Matter of fact, is our Robinhood thing set up? Okay. All right. So we good. So we have if you need a Robin account to us, we can help you set that up. We can actually give you some free stock because of the relationship we have with them. But Robinhood right now is offering about 4%. Now, the average person is not getting 4% on their money just sitting, okay? So if you at least to what we call a high yield savings account, then you're earning some money on that, right? So inflation isn't necessarily eating away at all your money. If you're scared to invest, you can at least have the money growing that way. And then last, you got to build some multiple income streams, okay? I know we have been several about, doing stuff outside of the military. I technically couldn't have a second job, but we have to start creating these multiple streams of income. You got to get yourself a side hustle. You got to figure out how to get some passive income coming because you cannot rely on your paycheck only in this season, okay? I don't know what 2027 is going to look like, but I can tell you in 2026, we're probably going to have anywhere from 100,000 to 300,000 people laid off from their jobs. Now, that's a whole different conversation. I can talk about that for hours on end. I'm here to talk about right now. But the government shutdown proved that to us. So don't sleep on it, all right? Stay woke, stay plugged in. Come be a part of a movement where we're teaching people in the middle class how to create generational wealth because the money's there. You just got to get the knowledge and apply the two together. All right, Think and Grow Rich. We'll see you on the next one.